Joel Embiid hit a dagger three versus the Bulls last night and responded to the Philly crowd that booed him earlier in the game with what we're calling a shush, but it was a little bit more than a shush. Despite his statistics, he still felt his performance fell below his standards. Here's Embiid after the game. Take a listen.
I don't care how it looks. I'm just playing basketball and, just getting back to myself, just being a good just playing basketball and just trying to dominate. Thank you.
That boy really told the crowd to shut the up. Paul, what's wrong with Embiid?
I think what's wrong with him is exactly what he said. He got to go back to being himself. And I said this early in the year. I don't see Embiid playing with the emotion. You know, he's used to doing this to the crowd, finger pointing and all this. He's on Twitter going out players. That's who he is. That's why he was dominant the last few years. And I don't see him doing that this year. But also, with expectations come pressure. And, the Philadelphia 76ers had expectations this year. A lot of people picked them to possibly be in the NBA Finals. Now you get to see how players perform with that kind of pressure.
Yeah, I think the problem with Joel Embiid is nothing you can extricate from the problem with the problem with the Philadelphia 76ers, and that is, how are we going to utilize space on an offensive possession? And to me, this is still the fundamental question they haven't answered. Al Horford is a 5 disguised as a 4. And by the way, you're not getting the best of Al if he's out on the perimeter. Ben Simmons is a guy who needs a ton of space on the floor in order to work off the dribble and be the attacker that he actually is. Unfortunately, you have a low post player and a high post player. It's just, to me, Embiid's problem is not individual.
Right.
He is an ingredient of a larger, and they still have time, by the way. The Sixers still have a little time, not as much as they used to. But they have some.
It's interesting because on the jump on Saturday with Rachel Nichols and Tracy and RJ, Draymond Green was a guest, and he talked about the Sixers struggling and underachieving this year.
You look at Philly, a couple of our guys just went there. That's a team who's supposed to be competing for a championship. And, their season hasn't been that great. Now, can they get better? Absolutely. They got so much talent, and I think it will. But, that's one of the teams that jumps out to me that should be having a lot better season. And, maybe they can pull it together. I hope they can.
So I want to have a conversation about pressure. He talked about pressure. You guys talked about pressure. Paul, people think of you as you and KG and Ray Allen, and that was the best times of your career. Obviously, you won a championship. But there was a time before that when you were young Paul Pierce and you guys got to the conference finals. What was the difference the next year after that when the pressure was everyone knew you guys were a team to beat in the East?
Well, expectations. When you're flying under the radar, if you have a good game or a bad game, nobody really takes notice. But now it's like they expect you to perform each and every night, to be at the top of your game, or the team to be at the top of their game. And then when you don't meet those expectations, you could go into a funk. Now you have Instagram and Twitter, and you can see people bashing you, talking about you in the paper, and players get down on that, and they can lose their confidence.
It's funny. I'm listening to those boos from Philadelphia, and you're like, what's going on here? The answer is, for 5 years, they were playing with house money. And guess what? The house money is gone. Now you're just playing, and it's Philadelphia, and they're insane.
It's really quick. Is there any part of this that we give him for his hand injury, for his finger injury, that could be bothering him?
I think it's a combination maybe of injury, maybe of the system in Philadelphia being broken. Like he said, he's floating on the perimeter. We know Joel Embiid could be a dominant inside force, but I personally don't like the combination of him and Horford at the 4-5. Right. I believe that Tobias Harris at the 4 will be their best lineup for not only Embiid, but for Simmons also.
As well, absolutely.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports analysis and highlights, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.